And again, I wanted to see, if there was a blood trail, and if so, what it looked like. And I got over there, and it was when I when I got over there, it wasn't pitch black yet, but it was about 2 or 3 minutes from being dark, dark. And I had I had my hands full, and I had my backpack on, and I was holding my rifle with this hand, I was holding my camera with this hand, and then I had my phone, squeezed between my shoulder and face for a flashlight, and I was kind of trying to look around on the ground for blood, and then and a rattlesnake, rattles and coils up underneath a cactus about 6 feet from me, and scared the shit out of me. I ran about 15 feet, and just my heart was just and I was like, whatever, I don't care if there's blood over there anymore. What is going on, guys? This is Red, White, and Moose, the show dedicated to the relentless pursuit of excellence, whether it's behind a trigger, in a competition, or just in the daily grind of life. Everything we do demands precision. And this weekend was a great test where we tested the most fundamental question: how much cartridge is enough when it comes to hunting? We put 3 cartridges head to head: the 6 PRC, the 6 ARC, and the 22 SAW. We're gonna get into that, how that whole trip went. Before we get into the breakdown, the ballistics, the results, and everything, I want to thank the partners that make this whole show possible. This show is brought to you by Alpha Munitions, Lone Peak Arms, Collis Foundation, Hawkins Precision, West Texas Ordnance, Raven Rifles, and Botnia Solutions. I love you guys. I couldn't do it without y'all. This show is partnered with Hawkins Precision. Hawkins makes precision rifle hunting components built to help you go further and shoot farther. From lightweight hunting rings to heavy tactical rings to hunter bottom metals and flush magazines, they've got you covered. I run Hawkins on all of my rifles. I've got their ultralight rings, their heavy tack rings, the cantilever mount, one-piece mount for PRS, their M5 bottom metal, hunter bottom metals. I absolutely love it. I run them on everything. Next time you're getting a rifle going, make sure you finish it out with Hawkins Precision. This show is partnered with Botnia Solutions. Botnia makes the most high-performing muzzle brakes on the market. They've got a low dust signature, so you're not getting the crap beat out of you when you're shooting prone. They've got upward-facing ports to help drive the rifle down when you're shooting positional and be able to see more through your scope. I love them. I've been running the MIDI on my hunting rifles and my NRL Hunter setup and couldn't be happier with it. And then when I need the most, I put the Maxi. I've got that on my PRS rifle. And when you need all of the recoil control that you can possibly get, look no further than Botnia Solutions. This episode is brought to you by Foundation Stocks. I've been using Foundation's micarta line of stocks for years. And now with their new hybrid line combining micarta, carbon fiber, and Kevlar, you get that dead recoil impulse that their competition stocks have been known for, now in a lightweight hunting rifle that's light enough to take into the woods. I've been running their Centurion and Samson and Revelation, and now I have their Ezekiel and Gideon stocks, and I absolutely love them. Feel less and see more with Foundation stocks. Alpha Munitions sets the gold standard for rifle brass. Their OCD technology has been the first improvement for rifle brass in decades. I use it for hunting, competing. I use it in the business. Honestly, it's just the easy button for getting your ammo to shoot good. If you're looking to get the most out of your ammo or you want to lower your SDs, make sure you start out your ammo with a good foundation and use good quality brass. Find out why more top competitors are using Alpha Munitions brass in the PRS than any other brand. Next time you're getting your ammo started, make sure you start it out with Alpha Munitions brass. This show is partnered with Collis. Collis is the world's oldest successful rifle scope manufacturer, so it's no surprise with that many years of experience, they've released their game-changing lineup. The K328i and the K540i truly are game changers. With a 40% wider field of view, they make a huge difference in competition and in the field. I love the DLR models with the easy-to-read elevation turrets, and they've got top-tier glass that provides the ultimate color and clarity. When you're ready to be at the top of your game, you need a game-changing scope from Collis. Check out the K328 and K540i. This episode is brought to you by West Texas Ordnance. West Texas Ordnance is a full-service custom rifle shop, and that full-service custom rifle shop is located on a 2,500-yard shooting range. It doesn't get any cooler than that. They cut all of my barrels for my hunting rifles, competition rifles, test barrels, and they are all absolute hammers. Check out their patented switch leg system for easy, repeatable barrel swaps. or the saw line of cartridges, now including the 7 saw, 22 saw, and 25 saw. From their signature series of rifles all the way to their full custom rifles, they've got you covered. Next time you get a rifle going, check out West Texas Ordnance. This show is partnered with Raven Rifles. Raven Rifles produces artwork that shoots. Their custom lurk Cerakote pattern provides depth and colors that honestly most patterns just dream of. Their limited release rifles are truly a work of art. They're available in limited numbers and guaranteed to be an eye catcher. I absolutely love the lurk pattern. You can see the snow wolf and copperhead patterns on the rifles behind me. They just truly become functional works of art. When you're looking to stand out above the rest, check out Raven Rifles. This episode is brought to you by Lone Peak Arms. Lone Peak makes absolutely amazing competition and hunting actions. Their Razor Infusion line is available in short and long action, left or right, and stainless or titanium. I've been running Lone Peaks for years, and I've run them in snowy, muddy, sandy conditions, and they just keep on ticking. Your action is the heart of your rifle, and make sure you're starting it off strong. Next rifle you get going, make sure you start it out with a Lone Peak action. But guys, my name is Mike Burdis, Moose, for those that want to call me that. I just got back from this hunting trip, and man, it was so much freaking fun. I'm still kind of riding high off of it. But I brought a whole set of rifles with me, and honestly, I had a freaking great time. It's hunting and hanging out with good people. I mean, you make friends that last a lifetime. But the big deal that I wanted to get out of this trip was testing out different cartridges, different bullets. We were hunting whitetail does. It was a management hunt for this property. Um, and I want to kind of get into it. They're all smaller, faster cartridges, kind of against the norm of what we typically see. The standard marketing machine that is going right now. So I wanted to shoot some different cartridges, some different bullets, and kind of take y'all along for the ride. I've started posting some of the stuff on my Instagram page. So if you're not following me, go check it out. It's the Mike Burdis on Instagram. And don't forget, now the show also has an Instagram page, Red, White, and Moose on Instagram. Go check it out. It's a new page. Starting to get stuff put up on that. And there will be a lot of stuff coming very soon on that page as well. But this trip was a ton of fun, and it's something that I was really looking forward to. So it's one of my best friends, Price. We went to Tres Ninos Ranch outside of Sonora, Texas. And we've been this was the 5th year we've been going to this. It's a management hunt. This ranch is one of the just absolute coolest places I've ever gotten to hunt, and I love getting to go back every year. And it always amazes me. The animals are so cool. The country is beautiful. The people are great. So it was a lot of fun, and I look forward to this. And we were taking does, and so I wanted to. I had some guns getting finished up, and some new ones that I had gotten since last season that I hadn't gotten to test. And so, anyways, went through, picked some guns, picked some setups, and took those all down there. On the way down, I stopped through. Well, not stopped. It was out of the way, but went down to DFW. I met Taylor Crabtree. Got to see him for a little bit. That was cool. Hung out with him. Got some stuff switched around. Then drove over and met Dan with Raven Rifles, and it was super good to see him. Picked up 2 of my rifles that you can see right here on the wall. They are, oh my god, they're so freaking sick. They turned out unbelievable. We'll get into them, but I'm so freaking stoked to have them on the wall. There's 2 more coming that Dan's gonna paint, and but holy shit, just look at them. I love getting to put together like new setups, and I'm pretty good at putting together cool guns. And these topped even what I was expecting. So, and we'll get into them in this episode, and there's going to be a lot more content coming out on all these. But anyways, got to pick those up from Dan, stayed there that night. It was cool. We got to, catch up and handle some business and some other things, and but then left the next morning and started heading to Sonora, and got there Thursday. Got to see Price, and the everyone was starting to roll in that day, and it was a lot of fun. Got the guns out, since I just picked up these two from Dan. Did a quick zero and got speed on those. I had already zeroed the 6 PRC. I threw a suppressor on there, um, and got all those sighted in, ready to go. And then this year has just been um, a year. I'll say that it's been a very good year, but a very, very, very tough year. And so the hunting is my happy place. It's where I can unwind, and yeah, it's my happy place. I absolutely love hunting, whether it's getting in a blind or going just on a glassing point. It's just that's my getaway from everything, and so I was very much looking forward to this. And so that night, didn't even, like, I wasn't gonna shoot anything, just I went and sat in a blind and just watched, animals, and it was great. Just needed kind of a decompress, and anyways, that was nice, and but this I'm telling you, this ranch is so if you haven't been around Sonora, it's kinda like South Central Texas. Fairly flat, grasslands, a lot of um, oaks, mesquites, cactus. But this place had the whitetail, black buck, axis, turkey, pigs, coyotes. I mean, it's just and I think that's one of the where I hunt, we don't have black buck and axis, so that is always a really cool thing to get to see. And it's a low fence place, so it's really cool, getting to just watch these animals. But there's something about it. Just the number of animals on this place is just insane. I I never get as good at, like, the when I go sit at Trace Nina's, the shows I get to see are just next level, next freaking level good. So, but anyway, so went and sat that first night, and we came in, and everyone's just kind of hanging out, and that's one of my favorite parts of hunting is hanging out with the guys, hanging out with your friends, laughing, staying up late. It's awesome. Anyways, I was really looking forward to this trip, if you couldn't tell. Stayed up, we was talking, and, drove around, and, looking for pigs and stuff like that. And it was a really good time. And so for this trip, so when they got this, I mean, and truly the amount of animals on this place is kind of staggering. But when they got it and started analyzing everything, there was definitely some management that needed to be done. Their ratios were out of whack, and so we've been doing this doe management hunt for 5 years. And so we go out and we just try to shoot mature does, and it's working. And I was talking to Price. He's my one of my best friends, but he manages that ranch, and so he knows the ins and outs of it, and he's got to watch the animals, and he sees them all the time. But for me, I go there once a year, and it's been really cool just to see the quality and caliber of the animals that we're seeing, day in, coming in every time, just getting better year after year after year. And I told him, I was like, dude, just watching everything walking out that first sit, it was just so impressive. I mean, all the does looked, super strong and healthy, and the bucks, I mean, their bodies, they were carrying more weight. There was more mass in their antlers. It was really cool to see the system working. after, these years of working at this. So, but and I've been talking about it a little bit, but you know, there's a ton of marketing when it comes to hunting of, going super light rifles and big cartridges and, da da da. You got to have a 6 pound scoped rifle, and but you've also it's got to be a 300 PRC, and if you don't shoot, your 450-inch elk at 500 yards, you're a pussy, and da da da. It just drives me freaking nuts. But and sorry, I know it's not literally that bad, but that seems like what some people dive into. But um, I wanted to get, challenge this a little bit. And not, and I've hunted with PRS rifles. I've hunted with very heavy stuff. I'm not saying that, but none of these setups would be what I consider ultralight setups. I mean, the 6 PRC, the base rifle is crazy light, but the stuff I put on it, and like right now, the triple pull is on this 25/7, the second one. And so that is a big weight, a swap when you move that over. So like the base gun is very, very light, but the accessories that I put on it, definitely add some weight. But anyways, they're just none of them are super light. And all 3 cartridges that I took on this trip are all small diameter fast cartridges. And I wanted to see how they do. And I've shot stuff with smaller fast stuff, but I hadn't done any of these combinations yet. I wanted to test out some bullets and just some of these light fast cartridges. So getting into the first one that I took, and I'll grab this one off the wall. Okay, I'll figure out a better way to do that. But this thing, holy shit. This thing turned out so freaking awesome. I can't even, I can barely stand it. So this foundation, Ezekiel, and with the night vision bridge. And as you can tell, the big standout, this has the Snow Wolf Lurk Cerakote from Raven Rifles. It turned out freaking amazing. The color and the depth of colors in this is just awesome. But the stock was painted, all the metal parts, the rails. Then I've got an impact. This was on I moved a bunch of parts around when I started building a few of these rifles. So this was um impact 737 with a switch lug from West Texas Ordnance, a CRB Hunter profile barrel blank, cut down to 16.5 inches. This is a 7 twist because I want to do some testing with some heavies in this as well. Running the Atlas PSR bipod. It's got the Area 419 Arca clamp on it. Thunderbeast Magnus. This was before they started doing all the different versions of the Magnus, but this would be the Magnus L now. Very, very quiet. Running the Hawkins ultralight rings with a Collis, a K328 DLR, Hawkins M5 bottom metal with a Bixen Andy Dakota trigger. So that is the setup, and this thing is so freaking sick. I'll be doing a lot of stuff coming up with this gun. So, but that's the breakdown of that setup, and it's a 22 saw. So for those that don't know, I've been shooting the 7 saw on a bunch of different stuff, and it's just a 7 saw neck down to a 22. The 22 saw has a little bit more case capacity than the 22 Creed, which is why I went with this one, because it's a 16.5-inch barrel. I wanted something short, and I wanted to keep the speed up. So getting into the hunt, I decided I wanted to try this out. I took the 62 grain ELD VTs from Hornady in the 22 saw. So the new VTs are a varmint bullet, but I wanted to test. So this setup is going to, I'm going to end up, it's going to be doing a few things, but it'll be a coyote rig. But I wanted something short, easy to keep in the truck for like when I'm around ranches and stuff like that, that is just kind of a good do anything gun. And so that's why it's short. It's not like uber light, but it's fairly light, and the 22 saw is very, very flat. Because I'm running such a short barrel, I wanted to try a light bullet to keep the speeds up. We did a super rough load test, because we were very much on a time crunch. So these are far from finalized numbers, but we were running the 62s at 3380. Um, I just needed something that would work for this hunt. The thought behind it is I really wanted something that, if I see a coyote, a pig, deer, whatever, if I wanted a kind of a do all bullet. I knew the VTs would do well on coyotes and small stuff. I've shot stuff with those and they've done very well. I was My thought behind it was on pigs and deer and some things like that with the very, very high speeds that this cartridge is running at, that it would, and the rapid expansion of the VTs, I was thinking it may have enough speed behind it to get the job done. So getting into it, this I took the 22 saw out the first morning and watched a few different things come in, and a doe comes in to my left at like 20 yards and starts walking between me and the feeder, walking away. And it's perfect. Got, you know, and also I took my camera equipment and I'm working on starting to film hunts and get more content. Self filming hunts is a lot harder than I expected it to be. Keeping cameras on and recording and, pointed, it was very difficult, but got the doe. So this doe's walking, and so by the time she gets to the front of the blind, she's like 35 yards or so and walking away. And I start getting everything set up, and she's quartered, and to be honest, I it worked out well, but I really wanted to. So none of these shots, I knew none of these shots were going to be at extended distances. Just the way that the ranch is set up and the terrain and everything, I knew most likely my furthest shot at anything was going to be probably about 250 yards, with most of them being closer to like 100, 150. And so I wanted to try and get maybe a little bit of different varying distances. Um, Mostly, and I took all behind the shoulder shots, but I did want to try and get like different angles, a good broadside shot, quartering ways, just to try out different things. So this one was quartering away, and I ended up shooting her. She was only, I'm gonna say like 75, 80 yards away. It was very close. She's quartered away. I did put it just a little far back. I thought she was quartered a little more, but it ended up working. It was fine. Shot, yelled at her, got her to stop, shot. She she kind of curled up, brought her legs in, reared up, and started running just a little bit, watched, and she ran into some trees and I couldn't see her anymore. So uh put the gun down. Very, very, I mean, very, very light recoiling. It was awesome. I mean, it's a 22, it's what you would expect, but just, confirming it was a very pleasurable gun to shoot. Um so I get out of the blind and walk over to where I shot, or where I knew she was standing. I'm trying to find a blood trail, or just drops or anything, because the grass there is, I mean, it's a few feet tall, so it's just when they're laying down, they're very, very hard to find. um Long story short, zero blood trail, and it took me about 10, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes to find her. She only went like 40 yards, but she was in some grass that was just hard to see her. I ended up just like walking up on her. That's to see her. Uh, so it's pretty much what so it was. I thought I kind of had two schools of thought going into this with the VTs. Either I thought they would do not a whole lot because they're a varmint bullet and light and not carrying a whole lot of um mass in any particular part of the bullet, or because they were going so fast it would be a very violent eruption when they hit. So it hit, created a 224 entrance hole, had I mean like an inch of blood running down her side, and that was it. There was no blood trail, there was no exit, which I didn't expect there to be an exit. Um, and she ran about 40 yards and fell over. And then I got her back to the house and started cleaning her, got her cut open. And there were pinholes essentially all through everything. I mean, her lungs and heart and all that, but nothing was really destroyed. There was no mass trauma or mass energy dump. Uh, so it did surprise me a little bit that that was the case, because I mean, especially at that close of a distance, 70 to 80 yards. I mean, the impact velocity was probably 3,300 or so. I mean, it was hauling ass. But so I say that it worked, but it was not it wasn't great results for large game. I'll say that. Um, So, it is what it is. I think so I'm gonna start messing around with some other bullets. Like I said, I was kind of hoping this would be a good do all, but it is what it is. I've done a lot with the 75 ELDMs and the 22 Creed. Definitely gonna take a look at those. And then I think it's the 60. I'm blanking at the moment, but I think there's 68 grains hammers. I want to try those because since it is a 7 twist, and I I think I might be able to run the piss out of them and get them hot. So we'll or not run it hot, but like I think they will get really good speeds with the way that those are designed. So I'll be working with those in the near future. But yeah, I love how this setup turned out. I love the Ezekiel from Foundation. Uh, Man, just the new hybrid line, they've really impressed me. I'm glad to finally have mine, done and have it here. But just I really like some of the small features on it. The new there's thumb shelves up on where your thumb is and the safety and everything. It makes that grip incredibly comfortable. And then on the night vision bridge, rather than having the side rails permanently attached, and you can flip the bridge around. You can just unbolt it, move it to the other side. It's really nice, and mine has a sweet little phalanx skull lasered on it because it's sick. But yeah, so that was the 22 saw hunt. I'm definitely I'll say this. I love how the gun turned out. That particular bullet test on this animal was less than great, but I was also very much pushing the limits of what that bullet's designed to do, and it did what it was designed to do. I was just maybe trying to get a little more out of it. So it is what it is. But then so we finished up that morning and got to the house, and the they have the coolest setup for cleaning animals, and it's just like a little um, rock shed essentially off between the house and the barn, and you pull right up, and they welded up a frame with a winch and a spreader, and you can hang your deer up right there and throw a tub underneath it and get it all cleaned up. And then there's a walk-in fridge with a rail system on it, and you roll a hook out, hook the deer on it, and roll them into the fridge, and then they can hang there in the fridge and stay nice and cool. And they did such a great job. And then there's a drain there, and you can spray out the blood, and you're cleaned up. And it makes it super nice. I love going, and it was a really good time. And so then we hung out, and you know so me and Price were Honestly, catching up. He's a really, really good friend of mine, but, unfortunately, we just don't get to see each other all that much because I'm busy, he's busy. I am excited. I got to talk to him. I'm gonna have him come on the show, and, we're gonna do that soon. It's just I love seeing people that, um, are always working to be better and, to make themselves better, to be better for their family, to be better for, um, you know, everyone around them. And Price is definitely one of those guys. And it's nice to surround yourself with people like that. So I'm excited to get him on. He'll be on here soon, and we'll get to chat a little bit. Yeah, and then just we hung out and got to drive around and look at animals, and we got a pig trap set up one of the afternoons. Um, and I love it. It's just it's just a good guys trip. But anyway, so then that night got rolling back out, and I took the 6 arc out. So this setup, and I'm digging this one. There's going to be a lot more content and testing coming with this one. But this is the Geisley. This is the new Geisley Match 6 arc rifle. I've been a big fan of Geisley stuff for gas guns for a long time. I've run their rails and triggers and stuff um for years. And when the URGI uppers came out, I've got one of the 14.5 URGIs, and it's had the piss run out of it. That's actually the upper I took to the IPRF world championship match last year. And guys that don't get to see that stuff got to run it, or run it at full auto. And I think that upper had like 2,000 rounds run through it in like a day and a half. And just it got piss hot and dirty and kept trucking. But anyways, this is my first full Geisley rifle that I've owned, and so far I really like it. I think they've done a good job. Um, I'll be doing a lot more testing, accuracy testing, and then just 6 arc testing with this setup. But as far as the rifle goes, it's stock as it comes from Geisley. It's their receiver set, their rail, their barrel, gas block, trigger, everything. And then I'm running the new Hawkins cantilever mount for the optics mount with the Collis K 3 to 18, and another Atlas PSR with a really right stuff Arca clamp, and then the rugged 762 Razor suppressor. I actually picked this suppressor up off the prize table at the Caprock Rifle Club NRL 2-day match this year. So a big thank you to Rugged for showing up to that match and supporting us. I got your suppressor that you put on there, and I'm using the shit out of it, and I like it. So thank you guys. Um, and and that's something, guys. Keep in mind, like these companies, like they're here to support shooters, and they wanna make the experience great for everyone. But they're also giving away free shit. Show them some love. At a minimum, send a message, say thank you. But just keep note of who supports us. The same, like Alpha Foundation. All of these companies that I work with. There's a reason I'm working with them. But anyways, I just wanted to notate that I thought this was cool. This is my first rugged suppressor, uh, and I'm definitely looking forward to getting to mess with it more. So that's the setup for the Geisley 6 arc. And I didn't notate this. So on the 22 saw, Alpha is making the 7 saw brass for West Texas Ordnance, and that's what we load all everything in. And there will be 22 saw and 25 saw headstand brass coming from Alpha. It's not out yet. I just necked down 7 sawbrass. And then Alpha is making 6 arc brass now, which is just freaking awesome. And then I was running the 80 grain ELD VTs in this setup. Again, this will again primarily probably be, a coyote and setup and something like that. But I wanted again to test a slightly bigger version of it, of the VTs on big game, to see how they did. But man, doesn't that look good? I there's something about um Geisley. I just they look so anyway. So that's the 6 arc setup. And so that night went to a different blind, and man, it just again so cool, just everything that I got to watch. And I got a lot of it on. I did get to film a bunch of it. And I'm gonna be trying to work in some of the footage into this episode. I am still very much learning all of this editing and lighting and you know podcast shit, but I'm gonna try and work some of the footage into this because it was just so freaking cool. And then I'll be posting a bunch of it on my Instagram. But got out there, and so I love to hunt, and I try to do it as much as I can. But there's a lot of things that I don't know, or animals that I haven't gotten to hunt or spend a lot of time around. And black buck and axis is two of those. I see them every time we go to Tres Niños, but I've never hunted them, and I haven't really had a chance to you know really study them and look into it. But anyways, I say all this to say I get out there, and immediately there's black buck in the distance, like 150 to 200 yards. And there's one older black buck. He's not fully mature, but an older black buck. And then there were a couple of does, um, a couple of baby babies, um, and then a handful of yearlings. And I was watching this black buck, and he's moving around, and all of a sudden I see these does and yearlings, and everything's running around, and it's just chasing, and it was super cool to watch. And then after a minute, they finally kinda worked back onto this side, on my side of the trees, and I saw the one that it was chasing. It was a little spike, and it was a little yearling. It had, I don't know, maybe 2-inch little horns. And, to be honest, that caught me off guard because I thought he was chasing a hot doe this whole time. And so I asked a few of my friends, but if I, for those that have spent a lot of time around black bucks or studied them, or know more than me, I would love to hear your thoughts on this. What I'm guessing is, so what I ended up watching was this older black buck chasing around this younger buck, and I mean he just wore his ass out for about 25 to 30 minutes. And I mean, like he was chasing a hot doe, but just, I mean, they were he it was never stop moving. He was at least walking, kind of at least following him, or if not, kind of pushing him around, up to, just full blown chasing, and trying. I'm guessing he was just asserting dominance or something like that. But I would love to know, for those that have been around black buck, or know that answer, shoot me a message, or leave a comment. I would like to know, maybe what was going on there. But that was super cool to watch. I mean, and they ended up being as close as like 80 yards doing that. Watched them for a very long time. And then some axis came out. There were some does, and then one young axis buck came out. And at this particular setup, there's a small tank off to the left at about, I don't know, 80 to 100 yards, that's got some water. And then there's a water trough right off of that. Um, and then some turkeys came in, and they were freaking pterodactyls. They were the biggest damn turkeys I've ever seen in my life. Um, And but what was cool is just, there's animals all over this field and in the tree lines and stuff's chasing, and but and so it was cool to get to see all that. But then for whatever reason, damn near every single animal that I could see out in this field came and drank out of this trough that was like, I don't know, 15, 20 yards from the blind. And so for like an hour of the evening, I had at least one animal, I mean, within spitting distance. And so it was so cool. So freaking cool. I mean, to be, you know, 30, 30 feet from a black buck and axis and it was badass. Anyway, so I'm like nerding out watching all this. And so, but out of all the freaking animals that were there, were hardly any does, for this particular sit. Um, there was there was one hanging out kind of off a little bit, but it was younger and not so I was just kind of letting it do its thing. And then I don't know, after like 45 minutes, I look back over there and there was like a whole nother group of does. And there was one just big old mama hanging out. And so I got ready to shoot her. Got the camera set up and got the gun up. Um, she was at, I think it was like 156 yards, and perfectly broadside shot, perfectly behind the shoulder. It ended up being a good heart shot. Um, she did the exact same thing. She kind of leaned back, curled her front legs up, and took off running. And she went, oh, I don't know, probably 50 yards again. But then and then just stopped, and there was one freaking tree between me and her, and she stopped exactly behind that tree with it in the crease behind her leg, where it because I was trying to get another shot in her just to get her down. And it was one of those things, like, she was dead on her feet for sure. Um, but the adrenaline was 100% pumping, keeping her on her feet. And so she was just standing there, and I was waiting to just like lean or take a step or something, because I didn't want to shoot in the neck or guts or anything like that. And so but she ends up leaning. She was on her feet for a bit and leans back, and I got another shot in, what was ended up being a double lung shot. She tensed up real hard and stood there like another 7 or 8 seconds and fell over. That one. So again, very similar results. She ended up running about 10 yards further than the first one, with the VTs, and I ended up putting the gun down and sat and watched for quite a while. There was just still animals everywhere. And that is and something I would like to get y'all's opinion on as well. I always hunt suppressed. I know people make fun of me a lot because I talk about breaks all the time. And I love breaks. I think breaks, especially in competing, I absolutely love them. But for hunting, I love shooting suppressed. And this is, I mean, I don't want to say it works, every time, every animal, every shot, da 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 da. I don't want to make that statement, but I'm a firm believer that when you hunt suppressed, it's way less disturbing when that shot goes off. And I just can't tell you how many shots on animals I've taken with a suppressor, with multiple other animals, maybe between me and that animal or surrounding that animal or off in the distance, that, um, will do anything from, just look up and go back to eating to, maybe they run off 5, 10 steps. And I mean, some of them will still run off, but I think there is something to hunting suppressed. Um, but anyways, so I ended up, watching them for a while, and then I get down and start going over. And again, I wanted to see, if there was a blood trail, and if so, what it looked like. And I got over there, and when I got over there, it wasn't pitch black yet, but it was about 2 or 3 minutes from being dark, dark, and I had I had my hands full, and I had my backpack on, and I was holding my rifle with this hand, I was holding my camera with this hand, and then I had my phone, squeezed between my shoulder and face for a flashlight, and I was kinda trying to look around, on the ground for blood, and then just and a rattlesnake, rattles and coils up underneath a cactus about 6 feet from me and scared the shit out of me. I ran about 15 feet and just my heart was just and I was like, whatever, I don't care if there's blood over there anymore. um Walked over to her and two good shots. I mean, right, and I'll put a picture up, but one, I mean, right behind the shoulder, and another one, I don't know, 6 to 8 inches back, uh, same kind of water line, and 6 millimeter entrance holes, a little bit of blood running down, no exits, no blood trail. Got her back and got her cleaned out, and it was the exact same thing. Lots of pinholes through the lungs and heart and lots of blood in the chest cavity, but no major trauma, no big catastrophic damage. So long story short, I really wanted to try the VTs on big game and see how they did. They both worked. I feel like both of them, put down the animal quickly and in an ethical kill. But it's not something I'm going to use again. If you don't see where they go, the lack of blood trail is very tough, and I definitely want something that's going to carry more energy through. So it was a good test, and hopefully that's good information for you guys. But I mean, they've shot very well for me, and they've done very good on coyotes. Like I shot a turtle with one earlier this year, and I've never seen something so violently disappear in my life. So I mean, I like the VTs, so I'm not trying to say don't use the VTs, but I just wouldn't recommend them as a big game hunting bullet, which is fine. That's not what they're marketed against that, but I like to try things. So then something else, I know we talk a lot about bolt guns on this, and that's definitely kind of the meat and potatoes of this stuff, but I would love to hear, how many of y'all, are more into gas guns than bolt guns, or also would like more bolt gun content or gas gun content? I have a lot of stuff playing with this. I think the Geisley setup is a very interesting setup that is worth kind of pursuing, going down that rabbit hole. And then with the popularity of the arcs coming out, it's just I got to get into it more. But I would like to know y'all's thoughts on the 6 arc, 22 arc, and gas gun type stuff. So let me know. Shoot me a message on Instagram or leave a comment in here. Um, you know, because I mean, the 6 arc is definitely getting very, very popular, and for a good reason, in my opinion. I think the 6 arc very much shines in a AR-15 platform because you're keeping the small frame receivers, and you're definitely gaining mass energy and ballistic efficiency, moving up to a good high efficiency 6 mil. um so in that sense, I think it's a great cartridge over something like a 223 for a gas gun. But in the reality of things, it is a fairly anemic cartridge because it is a small 6 mil, that you're not getting a whole lot of powder behind. So I would love to hear your thoughts on it. And I know some guys that have built arcs in bolt guns, and they're pretty cool. it's one of those things, like, this is why I like guns and rifles and stuff, is like, there's something for everybody, if you're into, odd, weird stuff, you can do it, or if you're into, like, weird, or, like, collecting old relics and stuff, you can do that. It's like, I'm not knocking it, like, do what you wanna do. It's not necess for me, I don't really see the arc, like, really shining in a bolt gun setup outside of it would be a phenomenal, light recoiling hunting cartridge for like kids, or, something like that. Definitely has its place. But it is kind of a more, there's just, it's a small cartridge. You can't get a whole lot of powder behind it. So I would love to hear your thoughts on, what do you think of the arc? Do you like it out of a bolt gun versus a gas gun? What bullets are you really liking to see out of it, for match setups and or hunting setups, big game setups, coyote setups? Um, because I am working on a bunch of stuff with it, but I would definitely like to hear y'all's thoughts and what you're doing with it. So, um, but yeah, so that was the Geisley and the six arc setup. Then, so let's see. So we finished up that night and get back to the house. And to be honest, I crapped out at like 9 o'clock. I was beyond exhausted. Like this year has royally kicked my ass. Made a huge, huge push, getting orders out the door before I left. So I was exhausted. So crashed out early. Everybody else went and had a lot of fun. And I was a little jealous. The pig trap that we set up, Price had gotten, and I'm blanking on the name, the brand of it, but it was kind of I mean, there's a lot of hog traps out there, but I liked how kind of simple this one was. It was essentially like, you put a bunch of T-posts in the ground, and it's got a net that hangs down on it, but because of the way the you set up the tension and everything, it allows them to just walk underneath it, and the net just kinda drapes down, and, they can walk out, but then they can't walk back out. And, so we threw some corn, finished getting it set up, threw some corn, and I think, like, 12 pigs were in it that when they showed up that night. I think it was 2 or 3, adult pigs and 9 piglets. I was shocked, but they got them out, and, uh, yeah, and the pictures were funny. But, yeah, and then so got up the next morning and went to, it's one of my favorite, blinds on this place. It's called Rock Bottom, and, there's a lot of axis that show up at that place, and the night I shot, the doe with the six arc, another guy was sitting at that blind and saw just this stud axis. I'll put a picture up of it here. I cannot. So I told Price, I was like, when I get some time and some other things settled, I am coming back, and I am coming to do an axis hunt here, because it is just, the axis there are just unbelievable, and I think they're just freaking beautiful creatures. But they've got some monsters there. But so anyway, so I go sit there, and last year I'd had one of the coolest sits I'd ever had at that blind, and I had shot a doe, and then like right before sunset last year, all of a sudden a pack of black buck, it's like 13 or 14 black buck, come out from my right and start coming across this field, and then a pack of axis come out from the left over at this pond. Then whitetails start coming out from like three different. I mean, it was, at one point there was like 50 animals out in this field, it was like golden hour, sunset. I mean, it was surreal. And so I was excited to go sit, and pretty much very similar, axis coming out, black buck coming out, whitetail coming out. And I took the six PRC out, and I'll grab that one. So this, and I went over this in a previous episode. This is pretty much my NRL open light setup that I've been competing with. Now that I have this other, this Ezekiel setup, I'm gonna, to be honest, I haven't even weighed that setup because I haven't, I just got back, but I'm gonna see what I can do as far as, light setups for that. I think that would be really fun for NRL. But this is my open light setup that I normally run a 7 saw in. I took this exact setup like a month ago to the Cap Rock Rifle Club one day NRL match. Won that match with this setup, and so it's a MDT Hunt 26 with the folder, a Lone Peak titanium action. Freaking love this action. It's got a switch lug from West Texas Ordnance. Um, it's a 6 millimeter, 22-inch barrel chamber by West Texas Ordnance in 6 PRC. I'm 99% sure this is a CRB as well. Forgive me on that, but I'm pretty sure it's a CRB. Right now, I've got the Thunder Beast 338 Ultra on it. The can's massive, but I was taking a bunch of setups, so it is what it is. I normally run the triple pull SkyPod on this, and then I'm running the Bix and Andy. This is the original TacSport Pro before they had the TacSport Pro X, but the single stage with the Gator, and then running the Hawkins Precision heavy tactical rings with the Collis K328 DLR, but a pretty freaking killer setup, man. And so this one is Cerakoted by West Texas Ordnance. I love how this came out, and so they probably they probably weren't super fans of me doing this, but I am a total idiot when it comes to being creative, when it comes to like graphics and like putting creative looking things together is not my strong suit. So I I had told them, "Hey, these are the kind of the colors I like. Will you please make it make it look cool?" And this is what they came up with. They laser engraved the Phalanx logo on the stock and on the back of the bolt. Ooh, caught my deer. There we go. Don't want that to happen. Okay, let me put this back up. Okay. Sorry about that. But so yeah, so that's that setup. And I actually took leftover ammo from the one day NRL hunter match for this hunt. The only difference I swapped out the Botnia MIDI break that I normally run on that gun. And like I said, I just always hunt suppressed, so I put the Thunder Beast on. Something I will note, and and I talked about this on a previous episode, but I filmed that match, the one day NRL at Caprock, and I was trying to get it all the footage imported into my computer, and I freaking deleted it all on accident. And so I I was super frustrated about that. But going and I bring that up because I love brakes. I love suppressors. They very much have their place. But and I need to do more testing on it. I have shot some of them, but you know, with the new suppressor brakes that are becoming so incredibly popular, especially in the PRS, um, they definitely have their place in my opinion. And they are, and they're getting very good, very good. But I think for me personally, at least, if I want to control recoil, I want a brake, and I want a very good brake. And if I want it quiet, I want to put a suppressor on it. And so that's where I'm at least for now. But so running the Botnia MIDI on this setup, I was shocked at how little recoil there was. And yes, it's just running a 6 mil, but it's running a 6 mil at 3200 and is a 109 at 3200, and that setup weighs like 13 pounds. And in the video, if I had it, but I'll get it again. But if you didn't see the smoke come out of the brake, you wouldn't know the gun went off. It was just so, I was shocked at how well that brake controlled recoil. But I say that to say, when I switched over to the brake or to the suppressor, the recoil difference was substantial. And I'm not saying it's a heavy recoil in cartridge by any means. I'm falling in love with the 6 PRC more and more, the more and more I shoot it. But there was a significant difference from the Botnia to the Thunder Beast. So it's just something to keep in mind. Sometimes breaks are worth it. Sometimes cans are worth it. So it just kind of depends on what your setup. But anyways, so the 6 PRC, so I took the leftover ammo and I was running the 109 ELDM right at 3,200 feet per second. And it's loaded in neck down Lapua 6.5 PRC brass. Shoots incredibly good. But again, this was, I had done a quick load workup for this one when I took it to that match. So this load is far from finalized, but I knew it was shooting very good, and I had like 20 rounds left over. So threw the can on, re-zeroed it, took it out, and so I'm watching everything come out for this one, and um, there's a few does and a couple bucks, and I think one or two axis at the feeder, and uh, this I picked the doe that I was going to shoot, and she just would not stop. Like, she just wouldn't stop moving. And they were yeah, I knew she wasn't going anywhere. They were all, way into eating all the corn that was around there, but she just wouldn't stop moving, and she was getting behind the feeder and behind the axis, and I think I had my gun out for like 13 or 14 minutes waiting for her to give me a good shot. Like, I wasn't in a rush, so I was just trying to make sure the opportunity was good. So she finally um turns broadside, and she's got her leg closest to me back, and I'm waiting for her to take a step. She takes a step, puts it out, shoot right behind the shoulder, and it absolutely anchors her to the ground. And I got it on film. I'll put it in here, but I put it on my Instagram this morning. It'll be a few days before when this comes out. The funny part is the only other time I had that happen where it physically picked a deer up off its feet and threw it to the ground was I was in that same blind, and I did it with a 7 PRC. Um, and that was with the 7 PRC and the 180 hybrids. Now the damage done on the animal was significantly more with the 7 PRC, but I say that to say I spent a lot of time talking with Zane Kuhn about the 6 PRC. Zane's at South Texas Armament, and I've gotten to meet him from like shooting matches, and we message each other. So I like to do, I love to hunt, and I nerd out over like the cartridge setups and the bullet combinations and speeds and shot placements, and what the bullet does when it hits different things. I think that stuff is very, very interesting. Um, but there's only so many things that I can shoot and test, and so I love picking people's brains, especially guys that I trust. And Zane is a very, very accomplished shooter, and gunsmith. And anyway, so I've picked his brain a lot on the 6 PRC, and he essentially told me him and his crew, pretty much the only things they hunt with anymore is a 22 Creed and a 6 PRC. And he laughed. He's like, we call the 6 PRC the 22 Creed mag. And he had sent me a couple videos of their hunts with it. And I think there's going to be probably even better bullet combinations than the one I took. And I thoroughly like the ELDM for as a hunting bullet, at least for sure on whitetail. But so anyway, so I get down and I go look at the deer, and um there was what I would consider a normal exit wound. It wasn't an excessively large exit or anything like that. But the bullet did exit, and it exited the opposite, high on the opposite shoulder, which I did think was a little interesting because I shot low heart shot behind the other shoulders. It instant energy dump, picked her up, threw her, and then continued out, but it kind of took a weird, you know, twist and path out. But I was shocked at how well that did. And speed, and that's why I wanted to try the VTs, because I was thinking maybe I was pushing them fast enough to get something out. But um that 109 just freaking anchored that deer, and it was very impressive. I sent it to Zane, and we were going back and forth on a little bit, like what bullet I took and what he normally takes. And he was saying their kind of go to is the 103 ELDX, which will be the next one that I test. And then there were a couple different 115s that they try. But it was cool. I am the more I shoot this cartridge, the more I fall in love with it. The 6 PRC is just man, it's cool. It's a freaking laser beam. It's very flat. And then obviously the wealth of high BC heavy 6 mil bullets is prolific. There's a ton of options to choose from. And then getting to see that kind of performance on game was eye opening. So yeah, so that's the 6 PRC. Um highly, highly, highly recommend it. So far, like I said, I'll be doing a lot more testing, because and that bullet has a lot more room to go on speed. I did a very mild load just to get something going for the match. So I'm excited to see what kind of true speeds we can get out of it and what different bullet setups will do. But my God, freaking freaking cool. And again, uh I love these first form drinks. This is the grape one. Might go steal a bicycle this afternoon, but I do like this drink. So that was the three guns I took. I was going to take, so this one right here. This is the other one that I picked up from Dan. I'll go into that setup more. But that's my 25/7 PRC. I did take that one. I shot that in the 2-day Caprock match with the 138 A tips earlier this year. Now I'm running the 133 burgers in this one, and I'm gonna take it hunting this coming weekend with Sloan from WTO, and I'm excited to get that one. And I'll share this story. I thought it was worth noting. So I know anyone listening, you have those days, or it just maybe like certain trips, or there's just always something that you do that, like, there's always something that goes wrong. Well, for me, it's trips like this where it's like I had this trip had like multiple legs, and I was getting multiple things for multiple different things together, and it was just one of those deals. Like I had gotten the gun back. We put the scope back on. It wasn't zeroed. It was a new load. I hadn't gotten speeds. I hadn't run it out to distance, and I needed to get all that done at the range at Tres Ninos before I left to go on a hunt that I was going to go on. Um, and it just, I do this stuff all the time, but just, I wasn't at home, and so it's just like I was just kind of hoping everything would go well. And so, anyways, I take the 25/7 out, I bore sight it, send a shot, make a correction, send two more shots, get a perfect zero. It was exactly where I needed it to go. But I was running the Garmin chronograph while I was zeroing. Uh, had a SD of 1.3 over 3 shots at like these were running at like 30 to 40 or something like that. Then entered the speed and everything into the Kestrel, built my profile, ranged. They've got targets out to 1,000 yards. They built a pretty cool range at the ranch. So range, there was a target at 504, shot it, center punched it, range one at like I think it was 907, dialed, sent it. I was a little strong on wind, but waterline was freaking money. And I was trying to do this also in the middle of a football game. The Aggies, I'll get into that here here in a minute, but I was trying to rush and get back to finish just so I could catch the end of the game. And when I was done, it was just one of those things you kind of take a step back and look, and I realized, going from a freshly put together rifle that had, with putting a new scope on it, and in 5 rounds had speed and confirmed data out to 910, and it shot perfect. And it was just, it's just one of those things. It's so nice when everything, just goes how it's supposed to go. And honestly, it's a testament to, the quality of all the components of this stuff. We live in such a great time of technology when it comes to precision rifle stuff. And it was amazing being able to get all that data and confirmed that easily and that quickly. So I am very excited to take that one this weekend, hoping to get a buck with the 25/7, maybe some pigs or something like that, and then I'll take the 6 arc again. We're gonna try and get do some predator stuff, some coyotes and some other things like that. So that'll be I'm really looking forward to that, and I'm gonna try and get some footage, hopefully of me and Sloan getting a buck this weekend, and hopefully get to show y'all what the 25/7 does. And to be honest, now that I got a kill with the 6 PRC, I am ecstatic to see what the 25/7 PRC does, because it's running slightly faster and carrying a bigger bullet. So it should be pretty impressive if we can get on something. So um, and then, good God, speaking of the A&M game, and this is what I've been talking about. I went to A&M. I've been an Aggie fan for a hot minute, and the battered Aggie syndrome is alive and well. And I was praying that we wouldn't freaking blow it in some bullshit game, and we damn near did it. I being down 30-3 at halftime to as an undefeated team to I think they were 3-6 or something to South Carolina. And I don't know what it is, but South Carolina, they always kind of have our ticket when it comes to playing the Aggies in football, and they always make it. I mean, they've beat us. They make it harder than it should be. And I mean, we literally needed the biggest comeback in school history, and somehow they freaking pulled it out, shut them down. They didn't score again, and we had 28 unanswered points and came back and won 31-30. Held on to the undefeated season. Hell yeah. I mean, it was, I don't know what else to say, but way to go. And I'm glad we didn't freaking blow it. It's good to see the Ags hanging in there, man. And it was cool. It was cool to see a lot of the guys were, cause I feel like people love to hate A&M, and, and if you're not if you're not an A&M fan, you probably don't see this, but there is something to the perception and the dynamic of how A&M is put out into the media and society, and how that is uh vastly different for some other teams. Like I don't know, it's crazy. Everybody loves to see A&M fail, and if they're doing good, the message is like, oh, they'll blow it, just wait. Like, I don't know, it's so weird. And like all year, and then to be honest, like, and we've blown it a lot, in past seasons, and so maybe I'm a little jaded in that sense, but I've been rooting for the Aggies to do well, um, but in hoping that, they would be able to maintain it, but it's just like, we're still undefeated, but, the first handful of weeks, it was, like, "Ah, well, yeah, they're, playing above their level," or, "Oh, they squeaked that one out," and then it's like, and then when we were, 7, 8 games in, it's like, well, you know, like, yeah, like, everyone, just all the commentators were just, like, yeah, like, yeah, they're there now, but they're not gonna, wait till the season, and it's just, I don't know, it's but then, like, you listen to, any media about UT, and, they can have a 8-4 season and come back ranked preseason number 1, and, and then they'll lose to Arizona State, and like, "Oh, well, it was a fluke and our quarterback was hurt, and don't you worry, we're gonna come back and be the next, Alabama," and, yeah, I don't get it, and it's just then they can turn around and beat, like, Texas State, and they're like, "We're back. We're," and I don't know, it's just weird. So, I don't know, if you don't ever pay attention to that stuff, take a look, like, kinda keep an eye out on how the media presents A&M, versus especially Texas, and I say that to people and be like, "Well, UT has one of the wealthiest, one of the wealthiest schools and wealthiest football programs in the nation." It's like, "Well, yeah, no shit they are, but, so is A&M." And that's what I don't get, is like, if you were, they're two true, I mean, strong historical football programs that have, strong financial support and, strong, booster support, and, they a lot of similarities, but the story is painted very differently. Anyways, I don't mean to go, like, way down deep into, the A&M football, but, let's go Ags. Let's get a freaking, national champ this year. I mean, I think they're the number 1 team in the country right now, and man, I would love to see it happen. So, 2025, we're making it happen. Ags national champs. You heard it here first. But, anyway, sorry. I love football. That's also kind of my stress reliever, is getting to watch the Aggies play. But let me know. I really would like to know what y'all thought, about this episode. The different cartridges, the different bullets. Using light, fast hunting cartridges versus, big, heavy hitters. Like the 7 PRC, 300 PRC. A lot of the stuff that, we typically see. That's really the what I'm trying to kind of get out with this stuff is, educating yourself and looking at, what is available, and to be honest, these light recoiling fast cartridges are just so pleasant to shoot. Like, I could have given any of these setups to, like, my niece and let her go shoot, and, um the recoil would be very pleasant for a little kid to shoot. So, and I say that, like, that applies to, grown ass adults too. I see guys, I mean, it's just not the funnest thing to shoot a super heavy recoiling cartridge out of a really light gun in weird positions. It can make you miss, it can make you flinch, it can make you not see where you hit, if you did hit the animal, or if you did miss, or where on the animal you hit. So, um, now, obviously, the trade-off is there's much less energy on target, with a much smaller bullet. So your shot placement needs to be, much better. It needs to be very good, and that's where, the space between the ears and the nut behind the trigger makes all the difference. But, um, it does make for a very, pleasurable hunting experience and shooting experience. And, you don't necessarily need, uh, these freaking behemoth cartridges, to kill stuff at 100 yards. Like I said, and you'll see it, being able to physically remove something off its feet and throw it down. And I think that doe weighed like 85, 90 pounds on the hoof or something like that. In South Texas, the deer don't get real big. I mean, keep that in mind. So like this hunt, I mean, we were there middle of November. The highs were like 88, 87. I mean, it was still hot. Lows were like mid 50s. So I mean, the deer bodies don't get like, so when y'all hear that, especially you northerners, the deer don't get real huge, but it's, I mean, to take, a almost 100-pound animal and, you know, and that was with a 109. So, it's just, I like challenging the status quo, and to be honest, if y'all can end up being in the woods and hitting, killing more animals and doing it better and doing it more efficiently, that's the name of the game. So, let me know what you think of the new setups, the 22 saw, the 6 arc, the 6 PRC. I'll have more information for y'all, hopefully very soon with the 25/7 on a hunt. Let me know what you think on, how these, especially these two new setups turned out, the bullet choices that I took, um, and your thoughts on, the big bruisers versus the little, speed demons. And then again, let me know what you think on, gas gun content. Because I mean, to be honest, if it's something that, everybody is ripping and roaring of trying to figure out something on, gas guns, and or, specific setups, I mean, I'll go, I'll go that route and get one, or, start. But it just needs to make sense. For the business and what you guys are wanting to see. But I love getting feedback. I mean, that's what drives, what I'm going to put out. So, let me know, and then, man, you know, let me know how hunting season's going for you guys. This is, like I said, hunting is my happy place, my, stress reliever. It's where I feel closest with God, and, I spend a lot of time in prayer when I'm out in the woods. Um, let me know how it's going, and what hunting season, means to you. Is it the shot? Is it, hanging out with the boys at deer camp? Is it cracking a cold one when the sun comes up? I mean, it's different for everybody, and but it was really nice finally getting a little bit of time in the woods. So more coming on that. I'm gonna be trying to get more hunting content out, and more, testing and things like that. But, guys, thank y'all so much for listening. Thank you for tuning in. I hope y'all are loving the studio. It's coming together. I've got more and more, projects coming together that I'm excited about. There's a big one coming. Um, God, I'm hoping in a few weeks or so, but this one is going to be badass, and I can't wait to share it with you guys. But guys, thank y'all so much for tuning into the show. I love getting to do the podcast. I love getting to talk with y'all about it. And now that, especially the, with the new camera gear, and, figuring out a bunch of this stuff and some of these hunting trips, I'm trying to get more and more content out. So please let me, if you want to see specific things, please let me know, because it's been a lot of fun getting to. Oh, so, before I wrap up, so one of the things I talked about in the previous episode, we were talking about, choosing, like different bullet weights and cartridges with different like barrel lengths and different setups, and using those different things to optimize like your setups. And I ask people, I'm like, if you have a different experience, or you think that's not the case, or you see something else, let me know. And I got to, Trace Ninos, and Price listens to the show because he's the fucking man. So listen to the show, share with your friends. But he listened, and, one of the other guys, Connor, had listened, and he brought up a really, really good point that I wanted to address on here. In and he brought up that discussion, and one of the, instances that, or, scenarios that I pitched was a 6.5 Creedmoor, and depending on like barrel length and some setups, running like choosing between like something like the Burger 156 and or going something lighter like a 140, the Burger 140, the Hornady 140, 143 ELDX, something like that. And I got in and he was like, "Hey, by the way, I disagree with you with something that you said on the show." Um and I can't remember if it was which one shot good and which one shot bad, but he was saying they have some ammo there at the ranch, and they have a bunch of 6.5 Creed rifles that they've shot it out of, but um they shot like the 140 ELDM white box ammo, and I don't remember which one's good and which one's bad. It's either the 140 shot good and the 143 shot bad, or vice versa. But they ran the 140 ELDM, didn't shoot good, got the 143 ELDX, shot great. And he was like, that's something to take into consideration. And I was like, that's actually a really good point. And when I made that statement, I was more in the mindset of custom rifles, like what's on the wall, or not this one, but these three up here. When you get into custom rifles, and you start getting into high end components, like barrel, high end barrel blanks, high end gunsmithing, high quality brass, high quality bullets, you start eliminating a lot of those variables. Now, if that can change, and now I'm not going to say all custom guns will shoot all bullet selections and combinations well, but in general they will shoot everything better than an off the shelf factory gun. Now when we're looking at factory rifles, you know that can be a different story, and there can be some that shoot everything decently well. There could be some that, it just hates a particular bullet or setup for whatever reason. Um, and in their case, like I said, it very much disliked one and it really liked the other, and so they run. I think the 143 ELDX is what they said they do run now because it shot very well. So that is something to keep in consideration, and it is one of the pros and cons to different setups. Factory rifles, generally they're going to be more affordable, and a lot of times will be a lighter setup, based on the materials and stuff that they're using. But with that, there are trade offs that some of these barrel blanks and tolerances that these are cut to, they may not shoot everything well. They may shoot some things very badly. Um, and it's just something to keep in mind. And that was a really good point that I didn't address, and that is a good clarification to keep in mind. And it is one of the perks to custom guns and high end and these good barrel blanks, from stuff like like custom rifle barrels. That's CRB. This 22 saw and the 25/7 are both CRB barrels, and they are shooting great. And I had pretty much used Bartland for just about everything. And then I've tried other stuff. I've run a few Kriegers. All the Kriegers shot incredibly well. I've run a couple different Muller works. The Muller works shot well. I've got a few different proof carbon fiber barrels. All of them that I have shoot well. But then when CRB started and Austin Orgain got that going, um, I like Austin. I think he's a good guy, and I like supporting people that are involved in the sports and support us. And so I got a couple of CRB barrels, and they've just kept shooting good, and so I've just gotten more and more of them, and they're CRB is expanding and keeping lead times down pretty well and putting out good products. And Having guys like Austin Orgain and Austin Bushman behind the scenes, it builds a lot of confidence, and honestly, it's been really cool seeing them, seeing CRB grow and do well. And if you haven't seen them, check them out. They've they've been great to deal with, and I have multiple. I have quite a few now. I think I've got, I don't know, 7 or 8 barrels cut in different things from them, and they've all done well. So I did want to make that notation. If you have something like that in a factory rifle, let me know. Let me know like what did really bad and what did really good. I think stuff like that's interesting. Um, but that is a big plus to custom rifles is they will generally shoot everything better. You they tend to be way less finicky, and it is what it is. I've had factory rifles in the past that either I've had to work a lot harder to get a load, like a particular bullet to shoot the way I want it to, or I just couldn't get it to do it. And it is what it is. And then you start, then you go just find another bullet option. But um, this is why I love this stuff because I love getting into deeper conversations, making people think. And the whole point of this show is to make people better. That's why we try and dig into deeper topics and deep dive into some of this stuff. Some of it's just fun. Um, and that's why I'm working on getting a list of badass people that are doing cool shit like Price to come on the show. So it's awesome. Just keep at it, guys. I love seeing people think about this stuff and challenging what I say, because Lord knows I can be a freaking idiot sometimes, and definitely I don't know everything. So if you hear something that you totally disagree with, I am more than willing to listen to it. And I might tell you you're wrong, but I'll at least listen to it. And who knows, you may get to tell me that I'm an idiot and I'm wrong. So, guys, please send your questions in. Let me know what you're thinking of the show, of these different topics. Find me on Instagram. It's the Mike Burdis on Instagram. The show is Red, White, and Moose on Instagram, and Failing Sarms is Failing Sarms on Instagram. Guys, thank y'all so much. I'm looking forward to getting one more hunt in and hopefully get to bring that to you. But guys, I love you guys. Thank you for listening. Thank you so much to the show sponsors: Alpha Munitions, Lone Peak, Collis Foundation, Hawkins Precision, West Texas Ordnance, Raven Rifles, and Botnia Solutions. I love you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you next week.